Well everyone, thank you very much for joining me. We're in lockdown, so there's not a lot of detecting going on, so we thought we'd put a few complimentary videos together just for your entertainment. Well, these videos are over an hour long, so what I do on this side, I'll put a timestamp so you can fast forward to any particular video you want to watch or come back to them at a later date. So without any further ado, let's go back to 2016 and the XP Rally.
Hi, I'm Andrea from Italy, Milan, and this is the first time for me in London for one rally, and I enjoy really. I hope this is only the first time for me, and in the future we have more opportunity to be in England.
This is really wonderful. One of the biggest hunts or rallies, as they say, that I've seen in many years, in fact, decades. good blokes, I guess, as you would say here. Yeah, some very nice chaps, very nice people. I think everywhere I've traveled, whether it's this country, other countries, treasure hunters, metal detectors, very friendly people.
Yeah, it was absolutely awesome action for us. We come from Czech Republic, and I and our team absolutely enjoy it. And we have found hotspot with Roman coins. We found about 11 Roman coins. Very nice for us. Hope so. If it will be also next year, I'm absolutely sure that we will come again. Bye.
Oh, it was wonderful. It's a super area for detect. The French people are very lovely.
I'm Silvia.
I'm Monica. We really enjoyed the rally. We've come from Italy and we hope next time we are here, we will.
Thank you very much. We love XP.
The XP Rally, fond memories indeed, and it was good to meet people from all over the world at a UK event. Maybe another one in the future, who knows. Something a little bit technical now, the XP top hat. Now, if you don't know what the top hat is, you could be connecting your coil to the lower stem incorrectly. This top hat is an important piece of your kit. Without any further ado, let's have a little talk about the XP top hat. Hi, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to be talking about the top hat system. Now, a lot of people already know about this, but I'm increasingly seeing people in the field with this top hat system set up the wrong way. So I just thought we'll have a very quick talk about how to set it up properly and what it does. Okay, so if you've got your Deus, you've put it all together, happy days, but just make sure you follow the instruction manual or this video and get that top hat put on correctly. Now, the coil bolts come in 4-piece system. You've got your bolt, your nut, your wing nut, your rubber washer and your top hat. Now, the rubber washer goes on one side of the stem, the bolt goes through and the top hat now goes on. Just make sure the top hat sits into the little slots in the side of the coil. You can't get it on the wrong way because only one side of the coil's got the recesses for the top hat slots. I've seen people put it on back to front. Right, now the reason the top hat system is really important is the coil lugs are not designed to flex. If you over tighten the coil without the top hat, the coil lugs may snap. So this serves a really good purpose. The top hat is designed to wear. So if you look at your coil and there's a gap between the lip of the top hat and the coil, happy days. Your top hat's fine. But if there's no gap, i.e. the top hat is flush against the coil, it's worn, and that's putting extra pressure on the coil lugs. It's designed to wear. They're only a few pennies each. You actually get spare ones with your Deus, so just be mindful of what the top hat does. Well, there you go. That's the XP top hat. Hope you've learned a little bit. I hope you've been doing it right. So, okay, we've got our coil connected to the lower stem properly. We want to get out and detect. But what's the correct sweep technique? What's the correct stem length? Well, this little video goes for a few nice little tips to make sure you get the right stem length. Well, the bottom line is nobody likes to be told that their coil's a foot off the ground or their search technique's rubbish. We're all guilty of it, I know. You see it so often when you're at rallies or digs, you watch someone who's just sweeping far too fast, far too high. They're the first person to come off the field and say, it's been done to death or there's nothing there. I mean, the true honesty is there's just as much in front of you than there is on the other side of the field. So it's not a race, it's really just a case of retraining yourself, if that's the right word. It's a bit like a golf swing. It takes years to perfect a golf swing, and when you get it right, you know when it's right. So, okay, what do? Have the search coil at a sensible distance, just so you can hold the stem with one finger and swing it without any effort at all. There's no point putting the stem right out there because you're not in control of the detector, and the tendency is you'll move too fast and miss a lot of targets. So with the Deus, I suggest you undo the clip, rest the coil on the ground to the point where you want it to detect, which is about a foot in front of your toes, 6 foot if you're wearing steel toe caps. No, don't wear steel toe caps. And just push your stem down until you're happy with it. Lock up the clip, and there you go. You've got the perfect position for using your detector. Don't forget that little trick. Don't grip the stem or you'll get tired. Just rest your fingers underneath it and swing it. Effortless. Also, if you do find you get tired, don't be frightened to use the arm strap. It doesn't have to be tight, just enough to slide your arm in and out, especially when using bigger coils, because it tends to stop the inertia as you're swinging the machine. Try and imagine you're detecting a small patch in the field rather than the whole field. Now, if you adapt this mentality, your search technique will be far, far superior to thinking I'm going to search this whole field, because you, for some reason, you just want to get to the other side. You just wander. So just do it in patches at a time and just try. Let me know how you get on. But I find it works for me. If I break the field down into sections, my concentration's far better. When you're looking down a detector and you're detecting, you've got no real idea how far the coil is from the ground. You may think you've got the right distance, but in all honesty, you're 4 or 5 inches away. And that's the difference between finding and not finding. So try and judge it. Even get a friend to watch you from a side angle and say, yeah, you're right, it is about 5 inches off the ground. That's another good way. And also just look at your coil cover. If there's no scrapes or bashes on it, you're certainly not close enough to the ground. I'm not suggesting you bash the coil in any way, but it's just a case of judging it and just getting a feel for it. You can feel the odd skim as you're detecting or see the grass moving. You know you've got it bang on then, and the rewards are tenfold. You really do find more with a proper sweep technique and sweep speed. Don't forget, these are two totally different things. You don't want to go too fast, you don't want to go too slow. Especially using full tones, the machine starts talking to you. You know when you've got it right. Now, if you're using lower reactivity settings, you do get better performance with a slower sweep speed, but reactivity around 3 is pretty much the ideal for most people's sweep speeds. Here's another little trick which won't be for everyone, but it's something someone told me to do. Put a couple of zip ties on your search coil. Cut the tags about 1 inch long, and when you're searching, you can feel when you're getting close to the ground, because the coil starts snagging a little bit. Also, if you're searching rolled and flat areas, you get little lines, so you know you're exactly right. Even the beach, you'll get a little line. So that's a really good little tip if you want to try it. And of course, once you've mastered the sweep speed and the technique, you can snip them off and get rid of them. So that's my short tuition on search technique and sweep speed. Okay, you've got the stem length correct. You've been out with your XP Deus. You've used the factory preset programs. Now you want to dip your toe in the water and try some custom programs. So this little video is your first step to using the menu, creating a custom program and saving it in an empty memory slot. Okay, you've bought your new XP Deus. What's the first thing you do? Well, your first plan of approach is to learn the menu and all its settings. Don't get me wrong, this is early days. You don't have to get involved with custom settings and custom programs. You just need to tune the machine. You need to set the machine up to suit you. Now, the factory default programs are really, really good. A lot of people use their Deus just in factory defaults, but in order to learn this machine a little bit more, you need to understand just 1 or 2 simple settings. Now, the first setting I suggest you learn is how to save custom programs. It's really easy, and we're just going to run through an exercise about saving a program. We're going to make a simple 2-tone programs because all the factory tone default programs are in 3-tone. Personally, I think it's easier to learn the Deus in 2-tone. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go into the Goldmax power settings and we're going to change it from 3-tone to 2-tone, and we're going to save and name it. This is your first little exercise and the first step to learning the Deus. Right, we're in Goldmax power program number 2. What you're going to see is 3 settings along the top there, 3 menus. You've got option, menu and GB. Now, you're new to the Deus, so I strongly recommend you ignore the GB menu. We go into that on later tutorials. So the only 2 buttons you're going to be interested in on the top menu are these 2. And you're going to use the plus and minus buttons to make adjustments. Let's get started then. So we've loaded up the GMP program number 2. Hit menu, which is the middle button. You'll see discrimination there is 6.8. Right, now on the left you'll see an expert section. Hit the expert and it goes into the tones. Now all you have to do is just scroll round until you find 2 tones. There it is. Now this little arrow on this side is your back button. All you do is press back to go back into the surface menu, back again into the detect menu. Simple. Now you've got a GMP on 2 tones. So what next? If you turn the machine off and then back on again, it won't save it. It'll revert back to the factory default. So what we need to do is name and save the program. Over on this side, you've got an option menu. Just press options, scroll down using this down arrow key, the middle one again, until you find programs. Hit the select button and it says, do you want to save it? Yeah, select. Automatically it's gone into an empty memory slot. On this machine, because I've got no factory no custom programs, it's number 11. So yeah, select number 11. It's talking you through it. And now we've got a flashing digit. Now this is asking you to name the program. You don't have to name it anything fancy, to be fair with you, just a convenient reference. And just for the speed of this video, I'm going to name it 2T. So using the plus and minus buttons to scroll through the alphabet, second one up is number 2. Press the arrow to move it to the next slot. I'm scrolling down the couple to give it a blank spot. Click the arrow. So I've got 2 blank. Now I need to make it T. So the plus button, go through the alphabet until you find the letter T. Right, you're all done. You've named your first program to T. So what we have to do now is validate it. We have to save it into the memory. Really simple, just hit validate. Bang, it's in there. And then go back into the text screen and you'll see program 11 is 2T. Now if you want to scroll through programs, for example 1, 2, 3 up to 11, because you've now got 11 programs as before you had 10, just use the plus and minus keys to scroll through the programs and they're all listed at the top. It's on a carousel, so you don't have to go backwards and forwards, you can go all the way around if you want. So that's how to save your custom programs. Step number 1 about learning the Deus. So now you can make lots and lots of adjustments if you want, and you know how to save it.
Well, that's the XP Deus. What about the ORX? Well, last year I went out with a new ORX user, Harry, and we had a one-to-one training session with some really interesting results.
Hi everyone, today I'm with Harry from the popular YouTube channel iDetect. Well, Harry's not new to detecting, but he is new to the ORX, so we're just going to get out there in the field and just do some Q&As with him. Harry, why did you choose the ORX?
I chose the ORX because I've always wanted to use a Deus, but without beating myself down a little bit, I'm a little bit simple, and I always did think that the Deus would be quite a lot with all the different settings. So as soon as I saw the ORX, it almost looks, and it's very similar to the Deus, but a lot simpler, and the price range is really good for me as well. So that's exactly why.
Okay, and it still has the Deus advantage. It's small, it's lightweight, it's wireless, it's compact. So why don't we just grab a machine, get out there, show you some features and settings, and see how you get on.
Let's do it.
Well, as you can see, Harry, this is very much the same as the XP Deus. It folds away to literally nothing. Undo the 2 clips, fold it down, it's going to go straight in your rucksack, no problem at all.
And it's as simple as that?
It's as simple as that, yeah.
One question I did want to ask you is, can I use these headphones without using this at the same time?
Providing the RC is switched on, the headphones will work. So all you have to do is remove the RC by pushing from the bottom, put this in your pocket, and you can just use the headphones as a standalone item, yeah.
How simple really is this machine to just switch on and start metal detecting?
Dead simple. Turn the machine on. The first thing you're presented with is, do you want the speaker, yes or no? In this instance we're filming, so we're going to have the speaker on, so we press the tick button. And then you're presented with your choice of programs at the top. The first 2 programs are the gold programs. We're not really going to worry about those at the moment. The ones we want to concentrate on is coin fast and coin deep. Now your machine will tell you whether to use coin fast or coin deep, because if you go on coin deep and it's a little bit unsettled, then coin fast will be your better option.
And is it easy enough to just switch between the 2?
Absolutely, you just press the hashtag button there and you scroll through the programs. And if you make some adjustments, for example sensitivity or discrimination, you can save it in one of the 2 empty user slots just by pressing a simple button.
Do I need to ground balance the aux, Gary?
Not in the coin modes, not in coin fast or coin deep, especially in the UK. There's a lot of controversy over ground balance. People feel they need to ground balance when they don't really have to. On the screen there you've got a mineralisation bar, and as you can see we've only got 1 bar up there, so it's really not worth ground balancing. The factory preset is absolutely perfect. However, if those bars were right at the top, then I consider ground balancing to eliminate the signal from the ground.
And would that change on any different type of land, or?
Not really. If you go on the beach, we've got our own salt mode, which if you press and hold the hashtag button, that changes the range to wet sand. So if you're on the beach, just use the salt mode. But I would honestly say 99% of your UK inland searching, just leave the ground balance.
So the preset settings are pretty good to go?
88's perfect, yeah.
Result. So I'm getting a target here, Gary. It's reading in below 5, 0.3.
0.3, and it's got the iron probability meter is at the top,
yeah,
and it's got the low buzz, so that's 100% iron. But if you didn't want to hear that low buzz, you could go into the menu and turn off the iron volume, so you're only getting the good target tone.
And that would eliminate that iron sound completely?
That would eliminate it completely, but personally I like to use the iron tone because it gives me that little bit more information.
Yeah, you and me both on that. I'm getting this target here, Gary. It's not giving me any numbers, but it is a really clear sounding target.
A typical telltale sign of a deep target is no numbers, so if the signal's solid and repeatable, as you can hear, that's quite a fluffy signal, so that's giving me the indication it could be a deep or small target. So let's just pinpoint it and see what we got. Now the best way to pinpoint with the XP Deus is go over the target, shorten your sweeps and then draw the coil back, and when the target disappears it's right under the nose of that coil.
Okay, let's have a go.
And there it is, exactly there. Before we dig that, I think it would be a good idea for us to switch from coin fast to coin deep and see what target sounds like then.
Okay, let's have a go.
All you do is press the hashtag button to move to the next
That one
program.
there, just the hashtag,
That's it, just press it once.
Right.
So,
so this is coin fast.
fast, yep.
And now I'll switch it to coin deep.
Yep. There you
we
go,
coin
straight
deep.
away.
Ooh, it's a bit clearer, isn't it? Yeah.
Lifted it. Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got to give this one a dig, haven't we?
Go on then.
So, right, let's do your pinpoint technique. I'm going to say
Just
about there.
Yeah, I think you're right.
piece of tin foil. There you go. Yep, 45.
Solid number.
Right, let's have a pinpoint. Oh. Oh.
There it is. Bit of aluminium.
Little bit of a... Oh, that's hammered.
No.
Yes! That's hammered!
What did you say earlier? I know that for about a year.
I haven't had hammered for about a year. All I ever find is Roman.
So what did we do on that frequency just then?
I'm sorry, I'm a bit happy with that.
Turn the frequency up.
We turned the frequency up, yeah.
Yeah, 33 kilohertz.
Yeah.
Mate, I'm
buzzing
pleased
with
for
that.
you.
I'll tell you what, I don't think I've found one like that as well. It's got a little cross there.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's in the coin fast.
Yep.
We turned the kilohertz up.
33 kilohertz.
33
yep.
kilohertz, and that was reading in 45.
Nice solid sound as well.
Absolute
So you
result.
know you're not
Buzzing.
going to be missing them hammers from now
Yeah,
on, don't
and
you?
that's not exactly like it's in one piece. There's a little part of the coin, and we've gone and found it. And seriously, it's been about a year since I've had a hammered coin. All I find is Roman.
I feel your pain.
I'm buzzing with that.
Well, you're having
That's
Roman.
made my day, I'll
Okay.
tell you what.
Yeah, yeah.
What a result.
And how are you liking this MI6 pinpointer?
Yeah, love it. So I like how it clips onto here as well.
This is the new PP clip from XP. It fits the Deus or the ORX, but there's lots of functions with this pinpointer, and to go into the detail it will be a long video. So if you want to know a little bit more about it, we've got a comprehensive video, and I'll put the links below.
Okay. 61.
Solid.
Steady. I'm going to go for about there. Oh, it's a bit sandy there. Result. No, I think it's a little pellet. Yeah. Little bullet. No numbers, but definitely a solid target there.
Yeah.
Alright, let's give it a go. Out of the hole. That's a hammered, I think. Seriously, look there.
Where?
Look just there, look. What does that look like to you?
Little Roman.
Too thin, isn't it? That's silver. Hammered, mate. What a result, Gary. Look at that.
Excellent.
Yep, definitely a little hammered coin. And that one was in coin deep.
Yeah, we got it in coin fast, then we switched to coin deep, and it lifted the signal.
Gave us a
didn't it?
better target.
Wow, mate, you're on a roll. You're smashing
What a
it.
result. So obviously in front of us, Gary, we've got 5 different coils. What's the score with the 5 coils?
Okay, these coils all do their individual things. Let's start with the biggest coil. This is the 11 by 13 inch X35 coil. You can tell the X35 coils because they're black, and they run at slightly different frequencies to the white coils. These start at about 4 kilohertz, then they go up to about 28 kilohertz. That's the same through the X35 coil range. Your bigger coil will give you better ground coverage, a bigger footprint, and slightly more depth on bigger targets. The next one down, we've got the 11 inch coil, exactly the same frequencies as the bigger one, but it's slightly smaller, slightly more manageable. This is a very popular coil choice. And now we've got the 9 inch X35 coil, which is your general go-to coil. It's nice and light, you can get in between difficult areas. It's got good depth, and once again the same frequencies. Now we're moving on to the white HF coils. We've got the 9 inch round HF coil, which runs from 14 kilohertz and it goes up to 50 kilohertz. And you also notice that the HF coils have got the batteries in the lower stem. And finally we've got the elliptical coil. Now this is a real specialist coil. It's ideal for nugget hunting because it goes from 14 kilohertz right up to 80 kilohertz. And it's also good for UK. You know what the Roman sites are like, there's loads of iron and contamination. Well, this little coil gets right in between.
Getting in amongst
yeah,
it.
absolutely. So very, very popular coil.
One more thing, Gary. Can you use all of these coils with both the Deus and the aux?
Yes, you can, and it's really simple. All you have to do is put the individual serial numbers into your control box, and then you just plug and play. You select each coil as you want to use it. So yeah, exactly the same coils for the XP Deus and the ORX.
These headphones, Gary, do they come with the aux?
They are an optional extra. When you buy your ORX, just mention that you want the headphones, and these are called WS Audios. Now if you didn't want the headphones, you've got a jack plug in the bottom of your controller where a 3.5mm headphone will work perfectly well. But I particularly like these WS Audio headphones because they pick out the sound of the ORX perfectly. And there's a couple of little tricks I want to show you with these headphones. First of all, the module detaches. So this band is replaceable at any time. This is the receiver. This doesn't have a menu in it, it's purely a receiver. But there's a couple of things we can do with this receiver. If you just hold that for me there. We've got a horseshoe module, which is another ORX Deus accessory, and that just slots into the back of the headphones like so. And then you can get your headphones with a 3.5mm jack and just plug them in. So now your headphones are completely wireless, and what I do, I use a little pouch, you probably see on a lot of my videos. I have a pouch around my neck with this headphone module in it, and I can use these super lightweight headphones. These are called FX02s, and they come from XP, they're one of our products. Very, very cheap, lovely to wear in hot conditions.
Accessories, Gary. What can we get if we want a little bit more with our machine?
Right, we've already touched on the search calls and the headphones. We've got a PP clip for the MI6 and MI4, which as you see there goes on the side of the stem. We've got a gel cover, we've got waterproof covers, we've got underwater aerial kits. Now if you're using these wireless calls underwater, you need to transmit the signal through the water. So the aerial clip just simply clips onto the coil and it comes out of the water, and this transmits the signal to your RC or your headphones. So we do have a wide range of accessories for the XP Deus and the ORX.
Hammered, cut off. Look at that.
We were just talking about cut off.
I could just see it. Look at that. Cut off hammered. Gary, what's going on today? 3 hammers, 2 Romans.
You've had a good day, ain't you?
My first time ever with the machine.
Mate, I've enjoyed your company. It's been absolutely fantastic.
Thanks for today, Gary.
You didn't need much training. Trust me, you've gelled with this machine spot on.
Hey, that was amazing.
So I've just had the best day ever, and it's just good to see you finding stuff. So
thank you, Gary. I've really enjoyed it.
Go and enjoy, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty damn sure this is going to absolutely tear it up on some of the ancient sites that I've got. So I can't wait to get out there.
I'm looking forward to seeing some more of your videos, mate.
Thanks for the tips. And thanks for the hammered coins.
Yeah.
It's been a year since I found any, and now I've got 3 in one day.
3, yeah.
What can we say?
We're on
the
the
proof's
hammered.
in the pudding,
We're
isn't it?
on the hammered.
What a result.
Yeah, fantastic.
Let's get a little bit more technical now. Let's talk about frequencies, in particular high frequencies. And this is some experiments you can do at home using your high frequency coil. And it just proves the ability of using a high frequency in amongst iron, because it's got fantastic iron separation. So let's have a look at the advantages of using a higher frequency.
Lots of people ask me, what tests do I carry out on new machines? Well, I've carried out the standard tests for many years. Even before I go out onto the field, these tests just give me an idea of how the machine's going to perform. Do these tests equate to what's going to happen in the field? I'll let you decide, but Primarily this short video is to show you the advantages of a high frequency search coil. The series of experiments I'm going to show you involve ferrous and non-ferrous items. How can you tell ferrous from non-ferrous? Simple. Ferrous is magnetic. Non-ferrous isn't. So the trick to getting the best performance out of your machine is subtracting the ferrous from the non-ferrous. I'm using XP Deus version 4 Deus Fast factory preset program. The first test is the bar and the coin. The idea is to put the bar through the coin and see how the machine separates the two. What happens when they are combined? First of all, we're going to try the 14 kilohertz with the bar through the center of the coin, and we'll just see what sort of depth we get. Now the 54 kilohertz. There's approximately 3 centimeters difference. This next test uses a simple pop rivet. Why do I choose a pop rivet? Well, it's got a non-ferrous disc at one end and the bar through the middle of it is ferrous. So let's see if the machine can sort out the non-ferrous from the ferrous. First of all, we're going to try the non-ferrous side using 14 kilohertz. It gets lost around 6 centimeters. Now the ferrous end. As you can hear, it's a low tone. Now the 54 kilohertz. That's a big difference. As you can see, it's off the scale. And back again. And now the ferrous end. I'll let you see that again. Here we go. How interesting was that? That's a difficult test. Try it at home. Alright, there's different sizes of pop rivets, but just give it a try. Let me know how you get on. The second test is just as difficult. Ferrous and non-ferrous again. We're using a small paper clip, ferrous, and a small medieval cut quarter silver coin. We're going to connect the two together and do some experiments. I'm going to start the test using 14 kilohertz. It's choppy up to about 3 centimeters. Now 54 kilohertz. Ferrous. Non-ferrous. Still on the ferrous non-ferrous subject, the nail test. This is something everyone can do at home, and you can see how well the Deus separates ferrous from non-ferrous. Let's keep going. This is Deus fast, by the way. Now I've run out of nails. Let's remove the coin. Small gold. This is really difficult for a metal detector to find, especially if it's made up of a series of links, or in this case it's an earring, but the loop is broken, so it's almost a horseshoe shape. This is a difficult target. It reads the same as, believe it or not, a CD. Now I've used a CD, so you can do this test at home because everyone's got CDs, not everyone's got small pieces of gold. But this experiment works exactly the same with a thin gold chain or fine jewellery. "26 on the target ID. Now let's try the same thing with the gold earring. That's amazing, they give the same readings. "14 kilohertz, very good, 7 centimeters. Now 54 kilohertz. Wow, off the scale again. Well, that's a series of air tests. So what difference does a high frequency coil make when in the soil? Mineralised soil. I've got some heavily mineralised soil here from a place in the UK. It's not from overseas. How mineralised is it? Well, it's so mineralised your pinpoint probe just picks up on it. Okay, so that's your mineralised soil. Let's see how the detector performs with targets on the surface using 14 kilohertz and 54 kilohertz. Just pay attention to the mineralisation bar on the right of the Deus screen when I pump the coil on the mineralised soil. It reads 80, but I'm not going to adjust the ground balance. I'm keeping it at 90 for all of these tests. A fibula, gold earring and silver coin. First a gold earring at 14 kilohertz. Now 54 kilohertz. That has now improved the target response considerably. A small silver coin. Let's try it at 14 kilohertz. Pretty good, but about half the air depth. Can you see how the soil kills the performance? 54 kilohertz. That's added about 2 centimeters to the depth and really cleaned up the signal. Now a reasonably large fibula. 14 kilohertz. There's a fair bit of ion contamination to that audio. 54 kilohertz. Brilliant, more depth and a cleaner audio response. (14 kilohertz), it's a bit choppy. (54 kilohertz). Trust me, that is a really difficult target to find. Well, that's our short video on high frequency coils, and I'm sure you'll agree they do make a difference, especially when looking for those lower conductive targets. Are air tests conclusive? No. Are they the holy grail of metal detecting? No. It just gives you another line of thought, and these tests are something I've been using for many years on different machines, and it kind of gives me an idea on how the machine's going to perform once I get out there. Staying on the high frequency coil theme, what's a high frequency elliptical coil like on a junky Roman site? Let's have a look. I'm not making any changes to the ground balance. I'm using discrimination at -6.4, so 90 on the ground balance, which is a factory preset, because the ground isn't highly mineralised, it's more contaminated with iron. Iron because that's given a disruptive sound and also a disruptive XY meter reading. With this version 4 hot program, I can make adjustments on the fly. You can hear all this information. This is because I'm using -6.4 discrimination, so I'm accepting everything. I'm accepting all the information and the good targets. I'm just going to have a little dig of that one and see what we got. Just a small chunk of, I think it could be lead, but it's just an odd shape. It looks like it's been hacked on both ends. As I was saying, I'm using -6.4 discrimination, but I can comfortably make adjustments to the discrimination depending on what sort of information I want to receive. For example, I'm on -6.4 at the moment. I'm accepting everything, all the feedback's coming through. Now, if I didn't want to hear all that feedback, I could quite comfortably adjust the discrimination from -6 all the way up to 0, depending on what I wanted to hear. And at 0, I'm still going to hear the iron signals, but at the moment I'm hearing the minerals, the tiny little bits and pieces to do with the ground matrix. So let me demonstrate as I walk along. I'll just make some discrimination adjustments. So I'm going to start at -6.4 now. Just listen to the information coming through. So here we go, we're getting all this information coming through. Now, if you think this is noise, you shouldn't be using the hot program. This is information. Right, I'm going to raise up the discrimination now. I'm at 4.2, and I've cut a little bit of the information off, all the way now to 2. Can you hear that information now? It's almost completely gone. Still got the iron coming through. Now I'm going to go up to 0. I'm now at discrimination 0. So, a lot of the information's gone, but the iron is still coming through. That's a nice solid sound. I'm getting a good XY reading too. 49 on the meter. I'm comfortable using a wide open discrimination, -6.4, because I want all the information I can get. And it slows me down and it keeps me alert. So I'm going to carry on this little experiment with -6.4 discrimination. Once again, all the information is now coming back through. At the beginning of the video, we run through what program I was using, and I forgot to mention the frequency, which is 14 kilohertz. So we've had a few bits of lead, we've had a few little bits on 14 kilohertz, but nothing really any different to the standard black coils or the white high frequency coil. Now I'm going to go straight up to 74 kilohertz. Let's go to the top and see if there's any difference between 14 kilohertz and 74 kilohertz on a Roman site. Straight away I can tell you that this higher frequency has lit this field up. I may need to change the sensitivity. I may need to lower it a little bit in a minute, but I'm just going to have a, whoa. Nice solid sound there. Just a scrape with a foot and I think that'll be perfect. That's what we're after. A real low quality Roman coin, wafer thin. Nothing exciting but good sport. It's just nice to find Roman coins. And with this high frequency coil, I think we're going to find quite a lot of targets like this. There's a nice one. A good solid line on the XY screen. I'm using the XY screen zoom feature and I've got it set to number 3 because I don't want a quiet signal to activate the line. I only want a loud signal to activate the line. I don't want it to sort of contaminate my thoughts or anything like that. I'm just using audio with a quick glance down to the XY screen. Look at that, that's a tiny Roman minim in amongst the iron. Good signal now, but every handful has got iron in it. Coke again. So that's the Coke signal, is that in this case it's almost up and down. There's a slight disruption to it naturally because it's in amongst iron. So in the air the Coke could be a pure up and down, but if there's anything to contaminate the signal, obviously it will disrupt the XY screen. A lot of people are asking the question, will the high frequency coil pick up EMI? Well, so far my personal experiences are it's very, very well behaved. Even searching underneath these things. So electrical pylons are no trouble at all. And this is 74 kilohertz. I've had a little spin out with a hot program. Yep, all is good. Now I'm going to switch over to the ultimate program, which uses a tone break, as you know. It's a two-tone program. The only thing I'm changing here is I'm going to switch it to the XY screen, and I'm using 74 kilohertz. Once again, with the ultimate program, you can hear all the information going on in the background. Minus 6.4 discrimination, tone break at number 10. When you get here, we're getting a lot of sort of false spikes. Now I think that's because the sensitivity is a little bit too high for this site. So I'm going to take it down from the preset 90. I'm going down to a sensitivity of 86 just to try and calm them false spikes down. You can hear that coil just snapping in between the iron. It's only a matter of time before we get a nice good signal coming through. That's an iron sound. You can hear it's much more stretched and of course forced. Once again, forced. Iron. We're on a really intense patch of iron now. Lots of people say, why don't you bother ground balancing on your sites? Well, what do you ground balance to? There's absolutely no clear areas to ground balance on, so leaving it at 90 just makes really good sense. Now can you hear the iron slightly dying down now? That's because we're coming off that little intense patch. There's still lots of iron, but not quite as bad as back there. This is more manageable. Do you know what, I'm going to comfortably drop the sensitivity down now to about 80. I don't think it warrants such a high sensitivity because it's not all about depth. What we need here is target separation. The coil's doing a great job, but remember we're at 74 kilohertz. which has made everything a little bit more boosted, a little bit more intense. So we've got to match the settings to the coil. 80 sensitivity. Nearly. Nearly. Yes! Tiny little target again. This probe is so handy. A Roman, or a piece of a Roman. Wafer thin. Oh, good one. Needs a bit of a dig as well. Solid XY. Looks to me like a, well, it is fair sized Roman, and quite a good one. You can just see, you can quite clearly see mate stood there. Romans are popping up, far and few between, agreed, but I'm still digging loads of targets, little tiny bits of lead, little bits of, well, nothingness really, but it just proves that this little coil is sucking the bits out from in between the iron. I mean, this isn't a brilliant example of what you're going to find with a high frequency coil, this is just a bonus, but the tiny bits are. So let's carry on. As this is a coil primarily designed for hunting for gold nuggets using a dedicated gold program, number 10 Goldfield, I'm going to give it a baptism of fire. I'm going to use Goldfield with my own settings and give it a little whiz round over this site, see how that IAR, iron amplitude rejection, deals with the iron. So my settings are Goldfield, sensitivity I'm dropping that down to 86, frequency 74 kilohertz, reactivity 3, disc IAR maximum number 5, threshold I'm putting that up to 2, just so, can you hear that little buzzing? That's my background threshold. Audio response 3. Now all I have to do now is ground balance. Now this is the only program in the Deus menu that requires a correct ground balance, because it uses different filters. It uses the first order filter only, which depends on a correct ground balance. So all you have to do is pump the coil a couple of times on a clean spot of ground, if you can find a clean spot that is, press the pinpoint button and ground grab it. Perfect. Now we're ready to search. Iron will be a broken, stuttered signal. What we're listening for is a solid sound, very much like the pitch program. There's no tones in this, there's just audio intensity. So let's get cracking. Stuttered, that's iron. Broken, that's big iron. Broken again, iron. Can you hear how the Goldfield is really well behaved if you set it up for the site? Stuttered. Although it's been designed as a gold nugget hunting program, you can still use it inland on a Roman site. All we need now is a solid signal. Quite a strong signal. Oh dear, that is strong. It's not broken though. You better zoom in on this one. Just there, can you see it? I've flicked it out. Hammered coin, long cross hammered. And that was a whacking great strong signal. Almost an overload signal. Was it 2-3 inches down? Let's just pass it over the coil, let you hear what it sounds like. Shallow target, deep target. Well, how fantastic is that? We've had a good day with this coil. Nothing amazing, but does it work on a Roman site? Yes, it's not just for gold nugget hunting, so all the people who are saying that on the internet and the forums, don't believe them, because it has got its place. You just got to know where to use it, when to use it, and how to adjust it. You don't need loads of sensitivity with it. Tweak it down for your sites. You haven't got to ground balance it if it doesn't warrant it. If you've got a site like this I mean, loads of iron, tiny targets nestling between the iron, been done for 20, 30 years, then yeah, I think this high frequency elliptical coil would be an advantage. Well, the proof is in the pudding. On sites like this, it's absolutely perfect. Would I have found the same targets with the black coil or the high frequency round coil? I don't know. You only know what you're finding, you never know what you're missing, so there's really no answer to that, but I'm really comfortable using this coil on this site.
So what is the deepest program for the XP Deus? Well, there isn't really an answer to that, because you need to know what size target you're looking for. For example, high frequencies are better on smaller targets, so therefore theoretically deeper. If you want to go deep on bigger targets, without a doubt the deepest setting for the Deus is the all metal circuit. A little time back we got called in to help some archaeologists locate some big deep targets in the forest, and this is how it went. To access the all metal mode, you press the pinpoint button, then you'll see the word mode displayed. Press mode and this will take you into the non-motion audio disc. This is where ferrous targets will give a low tone, non-ferrous targets will give a high tone. The next one down is non-motion all metal. This is an all metal mode where every target gives the same tone. And the next one is non-motion disc. This is ideal for searching inside walls, looking for pipes, etc. It's not recommended you use it for normal detecting, as there's no ground balance feature. The mode we're using today is non-motion audio disc. We're working with some archaeologists and we've been asked to do a ground mapping exercise and try and find out ferrous targets, non-ferrous targets and changes in ground conditions. This all metal mode is absolutely perfect for our needs. When using all metal mode, it's imperative that you get an exact ground balance. Your ground conditions will change as you search, so you must constantly monitor the ground conditions. Okay, to start off using this all metal mode, we need to get a threshold. So just go into tune and knock it up 1. You can hear the threshold coming in now. Now we need to go down a notch to the GB and we need to ground balance the machine. This is done by lowering the coil to the ground. And as you can hear, we're getting a lot of feedback. That's telling me I've got to lower the ground balance. Ideally, I want a point where there's very little feedback. Better, keep going down more. Very little change there, very little. I'm happy with that. Now we need to check around and just make sure we haven't ground balanced on a particular type of soil. Just make sure it's constant all around. That's absolutely perfect. Now we're just about ready to search. Overseas relic hunters swear by the all metal mode. It gives a lot of signal information. For example, a large target will give a long signal, so the signal is matched to the target size. If the machine starts drifting, all you do is press the pinpoint button with the coil in the air just to reset everything. There's our first target. We're getting a low tone, so that means it's ferrous.
carry on a bit more. The threshold's dipped out now, so just press the reset button, pinpoint, and we're off again. Whenever you make any changes in the all metal mode, always make sure the coil's well above the ground. There's a very, very quiet sound there. Not registering ferrous, not registering non-ferrous. This could be signs of burning or hot rock or something like that. Can you hear the grounds change now? Press the reset. The ground's slightly different, so what I'm going to do is raise up the ground balance a little bit. And we're off again. Because of the nature of the sensitive ground balance, it's always better to use your all metal mode in the lower frequencies, 4 kHz or 8 kHz. You'll get a much more constant ground balance that way. The higher frequencies tend to make the machine drift and you'll be constantly retuning it. Now that's a really interesting signal. It's quiet, so it's deep. It's long, so it's big. And we can trace it out. From there to there. I'd really love to dig this target, but unfortunately I've got to call one of the archaeologists in to excavate it properly. So for now I'm just going to mark the area and make a note of it. That's a non-ferrous target, but it's really, really short. I reckon that's a smallish target but quite shallow. Once again, mark it and call in the archaeologists. Using all metal can have another advantage. It will allow you to work a lot closer to large metal items. For example, these two spades. They represent a large structure. Search as normal. We can get about 1 metre away from them. By pressing the pinpoint button, we can detune the machine. Press it again. Press it again. Press it again. We can get really close to them objects and still continue searching. This method of detuning does sacrifice your depth, but it still allows you to continue. Now, if you want to go back to your normal search mode, just raise the coil in the air, press the pinpoint button, and it will revert to the normal search. Big signal there. Press the reset button and try again. Absolutely massive. So it starts there. Just an experiment, I'm now going to go into the Gold Max Power mode, for example, and just see what it sounds like. Program number 2. Absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. my ring. Wow. So what's that signal telling us? Well, it could be a couple of things. It could be a big pit of burning. It could be a large, deep ferrous object. Could even be a large, deep non-ferrous object, or even combined. But that's the good thing about the Deus in all metal mode. It really is a find everything feature. The archaeologists are going to love this one. They're going to have great fun digging it out. The dog is just trying to eat horse poo. Get away, come on, come on. Yeah, we're coming to the end of our video now. Thank you very much for watching. If indeed you still are, you've probably gone on to do something more interesting. It's just started snowing now. We're in April and we're getting snow. Would you believe it? So yeah, one more video left, possibly my finest work. And it's when Neil and myself found a dodo claw and we just had a light-hearted talk about the dodos in the UK. Well, that's just about it then. Last video. If you want any more, just type below. Give us a comment and we can put some more XP videos together and have a little chat with you along the way. But until then, stay safe everyone. Don't take any unnecessary risks and we'll see you on the other side of this madness. Thanks for watching. Look at that laying on the surface. Look at that. I know what that is. Do you? Did you grow up in the 70s? I'll bet you Neil over there knows what it is. Here Neil, let's test your old memory a little bit. What's that then?
It's been there for ages. It looks like a dodo claw.
It is. It is. We used to muck around with them as kids, didn't we? Yeah.
Looks like someone else has been hanging out with their
The
neck.
squirrels have had a go at it, look.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Let me tell you a little bit about the dodos. They were, well, the proper name is Raphus caculatus, the dodos, and if you grew up in the 70s, you'd know all about the dodos because we regularly used to eat them. The dodo meat was absolutely lovely. We used to have them for Sunday dinners. But there was a scientist called Fray Bentos, and he discovered that the dodos contained a certain hormone that affected men. And in the 70s, men started dressing up funny and acting a little bit different, getting very, very theatrical. So then they realised that this hormone wasn't doing them any good. So they had to get rid of the dodo, so they introduced the grey squirrel, which basically made the dodo extinct. All that's left really is the dodo claws, and you can actually see on these claws where the grey squirrels were gnawing on the claws. There's teeth marks in them. So dodos were discovered probably in the late 60s, 69, 68, something like that. It was called Dodo Island. It was just off of the Isle of Wight, between the Isle of Wight and Norway. And then they brought them to the UK and they bred really fast. But there's even stories about the dodos being about in the Celtic times, because in the Doomsday Book it actually says about Boadicea having an army of dodos what were trained to attack. And when she attacked Charles I's army, the dodos were on the front line and they inflicted some pretty major damage.